the name of the values that keep you alive. Do not let your vision of man be distorted by the ugly, the cowardly, the mindless, and those who have never achieved his title. Do not lose your knowledge that man's proper estate is an upright posture, an intransigent mind, and a step that travels on limited roads. Do not let your fire go out. Spark might replace the spark, and the hopeless swamps of the approximate, the not quite, the not yet, the not at all. The world you desired can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It's yours.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Crypto Economy Podcast. Thanks as always for tuning in. Today on this episode, we're talking to Kory, the CEO of Stably, which is a stable coin. So thanks so much for being here, Kory.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So you guys are the first stable coin we've had on the podcast, and we haven't really introduced a lot of our listeners to this concept yet. A lot of them may not have had a chance to have played with Tether or anything similar before. So just to get us started, how would you describe a stable coin to someone who might not be familiar with the concept?
Yeah, absolutely. A stable coin to me is a cryptocurrency or a token whose price is stable and not volatile. And it is typically pegged or benchmarked to an asset that is considered stable, like a US dollar, or to some people, gold is considered stable. And we do see some gold-backed stablecoin out there as well.
So I guess, is it mostly at this point, US dollars, you have USDT. Are there other currencies from other countries that have stable coins, or is everyone mostly converting to a dollar amount at this point?
Well, stable is relative to the benchmark, right?
Yep.
To a lot of people, stability means, having parity with the US dollar, as I certainly think so. To some other people, stability might be found in holding gold. Some people prefer gold over holding US dollar for a variety of reasons. And some other people, they don't think that neither dollar or gold is a good benchmark for stability, and they would like to create something that actually achieves stability independent of either the US dollar or gold prices.
So what would be the advantage of a token as opposed to an actual US dollar? Why were these initially implemented? What was the necessity that caused them to come into fruition?
Absolutely. Initially, when the crypto and blockchain economy was very young, as we have a lot of these exchanges, a lot of them were not integrated with fiat. So you could not deposit your US dollar or Chinese yuan or Korean won into these exchanges in order to purchase cryptocurrencies. Um, I mean, there are some out there, but the number of exchanges that are integrated with fiat versus the exchanges that are not, there's a big difference there still. And so in order for these exchanges that don't have access to fiat, in order for them to have to bring dollar into their system, they would have to use a US dollar proxy, right? And so that was the birth of the first stablecoin created by, which was Tether. I think originally it was called Mastercoin or something like that. And then it became Tether after a while.
Yeah, and I went to school in Austin, so we were around a lot of the Tether guys as it was coming into fruition, and you could see not a lot of people had a handle on it when they were getting started, and a lot of people didn't understand even the necessity. So, what would you say that Tether did that created the necessity for something better to come along for people who aren't familiar with Tether? What are their major weaknesses?
Well, I think they started out really great. It was a really sound project. The token was, for the most part, stable most of the time. And I think when it first started out, the one-to-one dollar backing, the promise was, it was the true promise. However, as time progressed, there's a lot of these controversies that came out about whether or not Tether has the reserve that fully backs every single token that they mint. And, I'm not here to, put out conspiracy
Yeah.
theories or talk about what really happened at Tether because I myself don't know, so
Yep.
I'm not going to speculate on that. I would say that the reason for us to exist at all is because Tether recently did a really bad job at either maintaining its price stability as well as its public image, right? So, and it still holds, I think, over 90, maybe 85% of the entire stablecoin market. And it doesn't make any sense for someone to have that much share of the market when you have all these issues on the side. So it's part of the reason why we're in this game.
So, I mean, similar to the banking system, is there some sort of like reserve rate that these tokens are expected to be holding? Does a token like Tether, I mean, I know you guys probably aren't going to do this, but can you essentially hold, 10% of the funds that you say you have and lend out the rest like a bank? How are some of these systems being built now, and how do you think they'll be built in the future?
So we cannot have a fractional reserve system because we ourselves are not a bank and we do not conduct any sort of banking or lending activities. Our token is 100% full reserve, fully backed, one token with $1, period. And we do not lend out any of the reserve uh, for profit motives, right? We only, according to the regulations, we only invest the reserve in money market securities, which is short-term U.S. Treasury bills that generate, 2.5% a year in interest, and that is how we generate the core of our income, of the interest income that is generated by the reserve, which is similar to how PayPal and Robinhood or Venmo and how they make money.
Yeah, yeah, they sure like holding your money and freezing it to earn a little extra interest when they can.
Yeah, they certainly do that sometimes.
Yeah, and so if you are doing that, is there the risk of having essentially a run on the bank? Having too many people trying to withdraw, or is that something you don't really have to worry about?
Well, it's not a concern to us because we provide the service in order to, you know, have people be able to deposit and withdraw their US dollar at any time via our regulated trustees and custodians. So, we're not going to impose any sort of limit on uh, how much you can withdraw or redeem the tokens for. If you have 1 million token, guess what? You can redeem $1 million. If you have 100 million token, we're obligated to return $100 million to you. It's not even us, it's the regulated trustee that manages the cash reserve, the escrow account, and we don't have any power over it. So I can certainly see instances where perhaps, if the redemption amount is really large and it could cause like a lot of operational difficulty, then perhaps our custodian and the client will have to work out some sort of delivery method that is efficient for both parties. But, other than that, we hold our promise to redeem 24/7 at 1 to 1.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's super important. So, when it comes to stable coins, what is the price that they're typically pinning the value to? So, you guys specifically, and if anyone else was doing it differently, is there one number that you look to determine at any given time what the actual value of the US dollar is? How is that calculated?
We don't have to do that because the type of stablecoin that we create is a fiat-backed stablecoin. It's actually backed by the dollar that it represents.
I see. So, yeah.
So this is called organic stability versus a lot of other what I call inorganic or synthetic stability. Some tokens out there, some stable coins out there are not backed by US dollars. They're backed by either cryptocurrencies or they're not backed at all. They're backed by some sort of smart contract and algorithm. But my type of stability, which is organic, it relies on free market forces in order to stabilize the stablecoin itself. So my stablecoin is supposed to be worth $1, right? Whenever that it deviates from $1, market makers and arbitrageurs stand to make uh, profit when they arb away this difference,
Yeah.
right? So if it's below $1, somebody could purchase the token on the market and come back to us and our custodian, redeem it for $1. They pocket the difference in profit there.
Yeah.
Vice versa, whenever the token is above $1, they can purchase a token from us and our custodian at par, and then turn around, flip it on the market for a little bit more. Enough people start doing this, then it will gradually stabilize the peg of our stable coins During instances where there are major market moving events, such as like right now, over what you've seen yesterday and even today, wherein Bitcoin, Ether are plunging 10, 15%. During these times, people do tend to pay a little bit premium extra in order to go into stable coins, because if your Bitcoin is dropping 10%, then what is it worth to you to get to pay a 1% premium to get in a stable coin at $1.01, right? So that can happen, but this is why market makers and arbitrageurs and free market forces exist, in order to provide a supply and bring the price back to one eventually.
Yeah, now that makes sense. And I know a lot of people who make good money on arbitrage, but at the end of the day, that's necessary to create adequate liquidity for these things and
Absolutely.
stabilize it across multiple exchanges. So, are you guys planning on being listed on multiple exchanges out the gate? Is it mostly going to be people exchanging fiat on your site? Were there a lot of regulatory hoops to jump to allow people to trade in fiat? What was some of that process?
So yeah, so we do plan to list on many exchanges, both centralized and decentralized exchanges. Um, Actually, next month we are listing on one of the top exchanges in the world. I can't mention which one yet, but we'll release some announcement very soon. That will be very exciting. Um, but yeah, so next year we plan to get on 20 to 30, 40 different exchanges in order to get our token out to the market and distribute it among as many users as possible.
And so why did you guys choose to do an ERC-20? I think that's what I read in the white paper, and I know it said you guys were looking at Stellar and EOS. So what was the decision-making process there?
Um, we strive to be protocol agnostic. It doesn't matter which protocol it is.
Hmm.
We picked ERC-20 just because that is the most popular protocol right now for decentralized application, the most tokens.
Yeah.
So it was an obvious place to start. However, we do understand certain limitations with Ethereum, which is why we are also creating or developing our token on Stellar, as well as EOS and other protocols in tandem with the development of our Ethereum token, which is already live. We launched the token back in August, and this month we officially started taking in orders from clients. So as of right now, you can register an account with us and start purchasing our token by depositing fiat as well as redeeming it.
So how can some other companies, I know I read in your white paper you talked a little bit about Augur, which is an interesting case. How can they benefit from stable coins and sort of the reduction of volatility in crypto? Do you see stable coins potentially taking the place of certain cryptos in a lot of these market operations and apps that are focused on, uh, I guess, capturing volatility or transacting in such a way where you reduce the risk of volatility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do believe that in the future, stable coins and perhaps also utility token will be what's going to power decentralized application as well as other blockchains based applications. We have utility tokens right now, which is supposed to fulfill that role. Like if you go on Binance, you can trade with the BNB token, which is a utility token, and you get discount from it. Um, and by the way, BNB is a really great utility token. It has done really well this year, and it served its role really well. However, a lot of other utility tokens don't really quite perform their intended role as a good medium of value exchange, because in order for you to say use a platform or access a decentralized application, you would have to use the native utility token that powers that platform, right?
Yep.
And if that token is free floating and its price is not stable, then it leaves an incentive for somebody out there to start hoarding those utility token in order to profit from it. And that really messes up the ecosystem, because then people cannot use those tokens. They can't acquire those tokens in order to use the platform like how it was intended. All right. Imagine if you walk into Chuck E. Cheese and Chuck E. Cheese tokens are actually free floating, and it's not convertible for dollar or gifts at the store, right? And people can actually, it's based on some sort of market trading and valuation. You're gonna definitely see some bully kid that's gonna sit in the corner, that's gonna take all the tokens from all the other kids and just start hoarding it, right? So that won't work out for everybody. Now, when you start using a stable coin, it solves that problem, because nobody would hoard a stable coin in order to profit from it, because you can't. It's supposed to be worth $1. And so if you power a decentralized application or any sort of blockchain application with a stable coin, then you bypass the price volatility issue, as well as the hoarding issue, right? And a stable coin at the end of the day right now is still more popular as a form of payment to a lot of developers and contractors, even like blockchain developers, right? They don't want to be paid in well, they do want to be paying Ether or Bitcoin, but if you can pay them in stablecoin and promise them the stability of that payment, then they would prefer it even more, right?
Yeah, or just making it easy enough for them to convert in the case that they need to.
Exactly. I know a lot of Venezuelans. I have a lot of friends there who, have considered taking money out of Venezuela using Bitcoin. However, this is not stable, so they don't want to do that. And so, imagine their face when I told them that stable coins exist, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Venezuela, I mean, I think they've had like several million% inflation, if I'm correct. So
Yep.
that's a place where your money is rapidly becoming worth nothing and almost makes cryptos look less volatile in comparison, which is ironic. So are there any other areas you would be looking to expand into? Would you ever do a crypto yuan or a crypto euro, or like a stable euro or stable yuan, to solve some of these problems abroad? Or are these mostly issues people are running into here because of the regulatory environment?
Yeah. I feel like this is the part of this podcast that all my competitors going to tune into. Yeah, we do have a lot of plans to expand beyond just crypto exchange, right? To us, crypto exchanges are the first battleground. This is where we need to start. This is where we need to distribute our tokens initially to the market and gain that initial brand and exposure, right? However, in the long term, we do not plan to mainly stay on crypto exchanges. We plan to expand to other currencies, other national currencies, as well as other blockchain protocol. In addition to that, we're also going to expand to other geographic regions such as Southeast Asia, like the Philippines or Vietnam or India, which we have really good relationship and connections with. Did you know that the Filipino remittance market is $100 million plus market every day?
Wow.
So imagine if I make like a Filipino stablecoin to tackle a Filipino peso stablecoin to tackle that market, right? And then I can go ahead and cross-list that Filipino peso stablecoin against my US dollar stablecoin to bring even more organic demand over to it. And I do this to every single country out there that's a third world country. These countries would appreciate a stablecoin much more than a first world country. I'll tell you that much for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and not only that, right? So that's remittance. We can also do payment. There's a lot of POS providers and payment companies that we could potentially integrate with in order to help them provide a more frictionless payment experience for their customer, which in the end helps save costs on for both their client and themselves. Yep.
So if you are going to create, a payments network, what can you do to make sure that the payments are fast enough to compete with the competition? So a lot of the competition are really worried about TPS and things like that. Is that something you're thinking about now, or something that comes later?
Yeah, certainly. So by being protocol agnostic, it really helps us address this problem, because we're not confined to just Ethereum, which is I think less than 20 transactions per second. Once we expand on Stellar and EOS, which processes thousands and thousands of transactions per second, then it becomes more suitable for us to expand to payment services. And all you really have to do is get people to start using the stablecoin instead of cash or their credit card or whatever. because if the stablecoin can be sent almost instantly to anyone and it could be just as easily converted back into US dollar, guess what? People are probably not going to convert it to US dollar because they're just going to start sending the stablecoins to each other as a
Yeah.
form of payment. If you look at the US dollar back in the 1970s, 1960s, before they decollateralized it from gold, nobody took a US dollar to the treasury to redeem gold from it neither. Maybe some people did, but like guarantee you 95% of the population didn't do that. They just traded dollar, the gold backed dollar notes around, right?
Yeah.
So same thing here.
Well, that's really exciting. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I want to encourage everyone to check out your website, and we'll put all those links in. There any closing words or points you wanted to make?
Yeah, we are launching our stablecoin platform front end next month, and we will also be listing on a major cryptocurrency exchange. So December is going to be a very exciting month for Stably and the team. And I also highly encourage crypto traders, investors, and anyone who's in blockchain to really research more about stablecoins and look into the inner workings of the different types of stablecoin and really see how this is gradually improving the phases of finance and remittance and payments as we know it. I think a lot of people could find a lot of value from gradually integrating stablecoin to their daily life. I mean, I sent money overseas to my cousins in Vietnam using stablecoins now. I don't send them the Western Union anymore.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm really excited to keep everyone updated on your progress, and we'll be sure to post this with all your links and get everyone excited about what you're working on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, anytime. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back with another episode sometime soon. Thanks so much, and thank you, Kory.
Thank you, Mark.